Hello, I'm Brannon Howse of WVW Broadcast Network and the WVW Foundation. We're coming to the end of 2018. And my friends, it's been a great 2018, but it's been a challenging one. As you know, we had some challenges in 2017 with a gunman coming into our conference with 2 weapons and then going out to his car and making another Facebook page video threatening us with 5 weapons, including 2 semi-automatic rifles and 1,200 rounds of ammunition. Well, in April 2018, this year, 4 out of 5 of our conferences were shut down by Antifa, as well as Islamic groups and Marxist groups, and it got picked up by many groups, including Daily Caller and other conservative mainstream media outlets. But that led to our creation of the docu-movie Sabotage, 6 hours of on-the-edge-of-your-seat content that many of you have ordered, and some of you already have seen the trailer or the first of the 6 hours we put out for free over at sabotagethemovie.com. I also, last year and this year, I was researching and doing radio and TV on Marxianity, the merging of Marxism and Christianity. And of course, that led to my book, Marxianity. And folks, unlike a lot of our Christian authors out there, I don't have a ghostwriter. I write all my own books and do the research. So this year's been quite a year, producing a 6-hour docu-movie and writing a book. And how do we do all this? Not to mention all the hours of free radio and free television we put out, all the TV shows that we produce from this studio with people like Usama Dakdok, Sharam Hadian, Tommy Ice, Andy Woods. I mean, the list goes on, right? We fly them in, we put them up at a hotel, we produce their shows, we don't charge them a dime. Then all the free radio shows we put out, all the bandwidth, the Roku channel, the free radio and TV app, all of that. How do we do that? Because of partnerships with people like you. And as we come to the end of 2018, you need to know that in the last 6 weeks of each year, about 40% of our budget comes in that last 6 weeks of the year. In fact, quite frankly, the last 6 weeks of the year, I generally sweat it out because what happens in the last 6 weeks of each year determines what's going to happen in the new year as far as our ability to maintain and to grow and to expand. Folks, the thing about us here at WVW Broadcast Network is you don't have to wonder what it is we do. All you got to do is go to worldviewradio.com or wvwtv.com or worldviewtimes.com and you see the fruit. At worldviewtimes.com you find all of these great articles from a Christian and biblical worldview perspective, news and information at worldviewtimes.com, totally free. Then you go over to worldviewradio.com and you find all the radio shows that we put out. Some of them we actually produce, not to mention, of course, I'm producing a daily radio show heard on many terrestrial radio stations around the country, and then put online each night at worldviewradio.com. All those radio shows available for free for several days. And then you go over to wvwtv.com and you find all these TV shows we produce. Again, produced by us in this studio. We fly in the speakers, put them in a hotel, film their shows, produce them, promote their ministries, and then send them back home. We don't charge them a dime, and we make them available to you for free for several days, if not weeks and months sometimes, at wvwtv.com. So you don't have to wonder what we do. The fruit is evident. And then, of course, we turn around and we produce resources like Marxianity that can be found at marxianity.com, the book, or the movie Sabotage at sabotagethemovie.com. These are resources that help you, that give you what you need to give to family, friends, to young people, to your pastor, maybe to some of your elected officials to let them know what's going on. How do we do all this? Well, in part, 2 ways. One is by your tax-deductible contribution at wvwfoundation.com. You can go there right now. And will you please go there right now? And you can make a contribution either by credit card or PayPal. You can send a check. You'll find our mailing address on the website, which is P.O. Box 1690, Collierville, Tennessee 38027. It's right there on the screen. Or if you prefer to give by phone, you could certainly call, and my lovely wife will be happy to help you with your contribution, as well as make sure you get the receipt you need in early 2019 for your tax return. If you give $250 or more, we're required by law to send you back a tax receipt for your taxes, which we send out each and every year at the 1st of February. So again, if you'd like to give by phone, all you got to do is call 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Whether you give by phone, online, or by the mail. Thank you so much for making your tax-deductible contribution right now with the Worldview Weekend Foundation. Now, another way you could support us is by being a member at situationroom.net. Situationroom.net, where we have over $150,000 in ebooks, audiobooks, transcripts, Bible, software, TV shows, radio shows, conference DVDs, all archived at situationroom.net. You can join for as little as $9.99. We just did a Bible prophecy conference. We did a national security conference. All those are being post-edited right now. And as we move into the holidays and into the new year, we'll be releasing all those as they're produced. Hours and hours, not to mention all the other shows that are already there. Over $150,000 in retail price of ebooks, as I said, audiobooks, conference DVDs, radio shows, TV shows, Bible software, and more. But in 2019, we're going to do something that we haven't done before, and that is we're going to regularly be bringing in people to our studios for a Saturday night or Sunday night event, probably likely on most Saturday nights. Well, and we're going to try to do this, endeavor to do this many times throughout the year, and it'll be exclusively for Situation Room members, and then some of them will make it available to everyone. So if you join the Situation Room at situationroom.net, that's a great way to support us. Let me tell you a quick little story before I conclude. I was having lunch a few weeks ago in our home with two friends of mine that are former CIA operations officers. Neither one of them would describe themselves as an evangelical. That's just the truth. They just wouldn't describe themselves in that manner, and they wouldn't mind my saying that. But they are very patriotic people that are very much concerned about the state of our country and our constitutional republic. They have great respect for people of faith, and they have great respect for many evangelicals, although they're very concerned with what's going on within evangelicalism, particularly after I shared with them a lot of the contents of my book, Marxianity. But I was sharing with them my frustration because we have been attacked by so many people on what is supposed to be the conservative side of evangelicalism. Turns out they're not so conservative, they just think they are. And again, I exposed that in the book Marxianity and the last hour of the 6-hour movie Sabotage. And I was sharing with them in a moment of frustration all the attacks we receive from the mainstream of evangelicalism because we've exposed things like white privilege and Marxianity and social justice and globalism and all these things. And I said, you know, some days I think maybe I would find it easier to just be a secular broadcaster and be involved in secular broadcasting and national security. And to my amazement, one of them said immediately, that would be a huge mistake. I was stunned. I looked at this individual and I said, really, why do you say that? And they said, because America is based on a Judeo-Christian ethic. And if that goes, we're done. And what you're doing is defending the Judeo-Christian worldview. The other individual, who's also retired from an intelligence agency, who again would not describe themselves as an evangelical, but a conservative, said, that's right. Evangelicalism is the last line of defense. If the Marxists and the Islamists can penetrate evangelicals, it's over. Wow, that was sobering. And my friends, that's why we're not going to quit. We have to contend. We have to not only contend for what is biblically right, but what is right from a public policy standpoint when it comes to national security. Because national security is a biblical worldview issue. Romans 13 makes it clear that the purpose of government is to reward the righteous and punish the wicked. And when we address these issues, we're not only addressing them from a biblical worldview perspective, but also in the context of national security. So again, if you appreciate what we're doing, help us out. In fact, the organization, the Center for Security Policy, that's a secular organization. There are folks that work there who are formerly with the CIA or the Department of Defense. It's not a Christian organization. It's just a secular think tank on national security. And last week, the second week of November 2018, they released a 35-page report on the dangers of interfaith dialogue. Now, again, remember, this is not a Christian organization or a evangelical organization. It's just a think tank, national security think tank. Again, some of the folks working there would not even describe themselves as a Christian or as an evangelical. They're just conservative, Americans. Some of them might be agnostics, some might be atheists. Some of them may indeed be Christians on that staff, but some of them would say, no, they're not. They're just, conservative when it comes to the area of economics and national security. The point is, it's not a Christian organization. They do great work. I quote their stuff all the time. The point I'm making is this. They put out a report on the dangers of interfaith dialogue and that the evangelicals are the target and that the Marxists and the Islamists are targeting evangelicals through interfaith dialogue. Folks, we were one of the first organizations in America to talk about this and produce extensive radio and television on it. And we got attacked by mainstream evangelicals, including the ghostwriter and right-hand man of one well-known Bible teacher who tweeted out, and we have the screenshot, that Jesus was involved in interfaith dialogue. My friends, I expose all of this in the movie Sabotage in the last hour and the book Marxianity. And what it reinforced to me, and by the way, my book and movie were done when their 35-page report came out, but it was as though they had read the book Marxianity when they wrote their 35-page report. They hadn't. But the point is this: we're looking at the same information, the same research. They came to the same conclusion I did. I came to this conclusion as someone who runs a biblical worldview broadcast network. They came to the same conclusion with a 35-page report as a secular think tank that deals with national security. And they said the Marxists and the Islamists are penetrating America, and one group they must penetrate and control and take down are the evangelicals. In fact, the report said evangelicals are the prime target. When I read that last week, which was the same week this book came out, again, like my conversation with my two friends who are retired from working for national intelligence agencies, I was encouraged that we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing by standing up not only for a biblical worldview, but a biblical worldview in the area of amnesty and interfaith dialogue and border protection and vetting Muslims that come into this country and dealing with the Marxist and Antifa groups. These are biblical worldview issues, my friends. Otherwise, we're going to continue to see them showing up and shutting down, as they did our conferences. They're going to start shutting down churches. They already have protested in front of a church in Texas. Antifa groups protested in front of a church. The media doesn't want to tell you this, but the guy connected to the shooting in Texas in 2017, the fall of 2017, there were connections to communist Antifa groups. They are openly calling for targeting conservatives and Christians and going to their homes, as they already have with Tucker Carlson. We predicted in the film Sabotage that this would happen, and then before the movie could even come out, while it was still being duplicated, what happened to Tucker Carlson happened. You see, these are biblical worldview issues because they're not only going to come after conservative broadcasters, they're openly already coming after Christian groups like ours and shutting us down, depriving us of our freedom of speech and our freedom of religion. Just like Herbert Marcuse said in his 1965 paper, Repressive Tolerance. He said we have to be more intolerant than the, quote, intolerant. They deem us to be intolerant, Christians, because we believe in absolute truth, or conservatives because of their conservative economic policies that we also have as conservatives. And he said we have to be more intolerant than they are and deprive them of their freedom of speech and their freedom of assembly. He wrote that. Go look up his paper online, Repressive Tolerance. I talk about it in this movie and in this book. My friends, this is a biblical worldview issue, but as the Center for Security Policy said in their 35-page report last week on the dangers of interfaith dialogue being promoted by the Marxists and the Muslims, it's a national security issue. So how do we defend our right of freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, our freedom of conscience? Defend our churches and our families and the sanctity of our homes unless we let Americans know what is at the root of this information operation. You see, their goal is to say that the source of all suffering and oppression is Christianity and capitalism. Christianity and capitalism. Folks, we have to show the American people, whether they agree with us from a position of economics, or whether they agree with us from a position of public policy, or whether they agree with us from a position of biblical worldview, we have to let Americans know that this is ultimately about the destruction of our country, which means the end of freedoms and liberty for everybody. But to counter this lie, we have to put out the information that shows that they're lying and what they're doing. And so I believe that one of the greatest threats facing America is this information operation being carried out by the Marxists and the Muslims. And how do you counter an information operation? You counter it by putting out the truth, destroying those arguments raised up against the principles of the Lord, including the arguments raised up against a free constitutional republic, which William Blackstone, the leading scholar for the Founding Fathers, said was based on the character and nature of God. What the divine is ruled on, we don't rule against. My friends, they are trying to destroy not only our constitutional republic, but all the institutions that have made America great. And not only are they institutions that make America great, they are God-ordained institutions. The family, the church, and proper civil government that rewards the righteous and punishes the wicked. My friends, that's what we're doing day in and day out. We are your alternative to the fake cultural Marxist news media. But folks, producing television is extremely expensive. We need to buy another camera. That's $6,000 easily by the time you add the tripod. These lights, these are $1,800 just in 2 lights sitting right here. The studio equipment that streams this stuff is $8,000. The news desk, believe it or not, is close to $6,000. I mean, you start adding it up, we're talking about thousands of dollars. Then you're talking about the bandwidth. Then you're talking about the computers for processing. Then you're talking about the computer techs at $70 an hour to do computer programming and work for us. Then you're talking about $12,000 to rebuild our app. Then you're talking about $5,000 to $6,000 to rebuild the code for our Roku channel that needs to be rebuilt because the code wears out and we don't update it, it quits working. All of this is extremely expensive. We don't have liberal foundations underwriting us. George Soros doesn't underwrite us. The Templeton Foundation or the Carnegie Foundation or the Rockefeller Foundation or the Ford Foundation, they obviously don't underwrite us, nor would we take their money. We would never take their money, but they're never going to underwrite us. Who underwrites us? Do we have some big foundation that underwrites us? No. Who underwrites our work is you. Individuals, it's in $20, $30, $100, however much you give. It really doesn't matter. Little is much when God is in it, and little is much when everyone gives a little. It adds up, and we're able to do what we do. Look, we've proved our faithfulness. Go to worldviewradio.com. We've proved our faithfulness. Go to wvwtv.com. We've proved our faithfulness. Go to worldviewtimes.com. We've proven we can put out quality material that you can share with your family and friends without being ashamed. Just go to sabotagethemovie.com, watch the trailer or the first hour of this 6-hour docu-movie right now. Or get a copy of the book, 300 pages, 300 footnotes on Marxianity at marxianity.com. Again, how do we do all this? How do we produce these resources? The free TV shows, the free radio shows, the free articles. Because in part, your partnership with us through a tax-deductible contribution, which you can do right now at wvwfoundation.com. You can give by credit card, PayPal, you can send a check, or you can call by phone. But whatever you do, please partner with us right now. Thank you so much for being with us through the years and your support in 2018, and we look forward to 2019. We have 3 docu-movies in production right now, and we look forward to sharing those with you. But again, your partnership is what makes all these things possible. So thank you for going right now to sabotagethemovie.com, sharing that with family and friends and purchasing a copy or maybe more than one. Marxianity.com, getting this, sharing it with family and friends, giving them as Christmas gifts. Get your pastor to show this on a Sunday night, some of it or all of it, over the course of a couple weeks or a few weeks at your church. Or get a living room full of people together. Show them the film. Let's get out the word. Let's get out the information. Let's oppose the fake news media. Let's counter the information operation with the truth. And again, all this is done because you've partnered with us through the Worldview Weekend Foundation. So thank you. Again, we're here simply to serve, equip, edify, and without you, it wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much for partnering with us. Until next time, I'm Brannon Howse. Take care.